Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. This week's episode is titled Favorite Teacher Tips for Using AI Images. Now, artificial intelligence is having a massive impact on the way we think about teaching and learning. When you're listening to this episode, it won't be long after I returned from the FETC conference. I'm recording this right after I got back, and you'll hear this just about a week or 2 later. And so I was really interested to see what the reception would be for a session that I did all about a dozen ways to use generative AI images or images that were created with AI. It's been a popular topic for presentations over the past year and a half or so, and it's really wild what you can do with AI generated images when you have a clear purpose in the classroom. From acting as a thought partner when creating lessons, we know chatbots can be super helpful for personalizing learning for students. It just offers endless possibilities. And if we pivot a bit away from chatbots to using image generation tools, well, there's just so much you can do too. These images that you can generate with AI can bring lessons to life, spark creativity in students, and really make learning an engaging experience for kids of all ages. So today, on the podcast, we're going to look at a handful of ways that you can use AI images with your favorite EdTech tools. So whether you're making an image in one tool and then adding it to another kids are using, I'll explore a few different workflows for your consideration today, but they are just fantastic for creating visuals for presentations, generating custom ebook illustrations, or even developing interactive learning materials. So let's jump into how this might just be a game changer in your teaching tool belt. So first things first, what should you know about AI images? Well, on the blog and in my workshops this year, I focused a lot on chatbots, right? So we know that when we give a chatbot like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini an input, it gives us an output. And usually that's us saying make a list or write a letter or summarize, and then it gives us text back. Here, right, we are using a text-based prompt describing what we want in a picture or an image. I've got a handful of blog posts around this topic. I'll link out to it so that you can explore a little bit more if you're totally new to this concept. And there's a handful of tools you could use to create AI images too. Just last week, I led a creativity institute for educators in New York City, in Times Square at Adobe's office. I do some work with their team every once in a while. It's not too far or too hard for me to get to New York City from where I live, just a quick train ride. So always love popping into the city and spending the day with them and the teachers they bring together. And so we looked at Adobe Express and Adobe Firefly, the image generation parts of these tools. And that's one option, right? You might also use a tool like Ideogram or Midjourney that's a little bit more robust. You might have to pay for those. The Adobe Firefly, right, that's built into Adobe Express. And at a school, you could use that completely for free if you're set up for free with their free stuff, or you could use the consumer version for free to play around with this too. So AI generated images are used or created by using a tool like that will listen to your prompt, will source from the images that they are using or that they've learned from, and then will create something new-ish for you. One of the reasons I do like Adobe Firefly is because they use their images within their Adobe stock portfolios, like stuff that they already own. So, they've got permission to use that, which always makes me feel better. And a super popular post on the blog, I think it went live in December, has been one on how to cite AI images. So if that's of interest to you, just send me a message on Instagram, send me a DM, tell me you want that post, and I'll get right back to you. So let's jump into 6 ways, I got 6 of them for you today on the podcast, to use AI images alongside some super popular EdTech tools. Now, the first one is a Nearpod matching game. Last school year, I had the chance to work with some teachers, and they were early childhood teachers, pre-K through 2 for this particular group. And we were really focused on how to bring vocab words to life. And they had access to Nearpod, another favorite interactive presentation tool. So we made images in Adobe Firefly that connected to their vocab words and added it to a Nearpod activity. So first we created those AI generated images. Then we uploaded them into a Nearpod matching game so students could use them on their own device or even kind of as a small group on an interactive board. So whether you use Nearpod or another tool that lets you create a matching game, this is a really fun way to integrate AI generated images that can bring some vocab to life. Next up is a Google Slides presentation. So another great way to use AI generated images is to add them to a slide deck. So you might look for that perfect picture for a presentation and you're searching and you can't find it. Well, instead of spending all that time on a Google image search, you can use an AI image generation tool to make your perfect or almost perfect, closer to perfect maybe than a search on Google's image search, and add it to your presentation. Google Slides, just one example, but you could do this in Keynote or PowerPoint, you name it. Next up is a video background. If you are recording videos with students, this is a great one, whether you're making videos for them or you are giving them some backgrounds to choose from their video. I've mentioned Animate with Audio. It's a feature in Adobe Express a few times on the blog in the past, probably year or two. It's a really fun one. You could do this with any tool that allows you to put a background behind you when you are recording, kind of like a green screen. So you might yourself make 5 images using an AI generated tool, let kids pick the setting or background of their video, and then they can jump on screen or simply record their voice over that background. Super useful. You would just share with them a folder of images, get it on their device, post it in the LMS, whatever your workflow is, and then they could add it to the background. Next up is coloring book pages, and I paired this one with Seesaw. Now, one thing that I've shared a bunch over the past year or two, I guess, and it's gotten even stronger, is how to make coloring book pages with AI. And it's not just for our little ones, right? It's for students of all ages, great for secondary kids. Maybe they're listening to a podcast clip and you want them to super duper focus. It could be more like a mindfulness activity, but you can make coloring book pages using AI tools. I've got some prompt ideas I'll link out to you. Basically, you describe your picture and then you say in that description before you generate your image, you say black and white line drawing, or you say coloring page or something like that to signal how you want the output to look. Then you can add it. Maybe you make an activity or you give it to kids to add to a Seesaw journal or even snap a picture of it. And they can use the drawing tools in Seesaw to do a digital coloring book page. I love being hands-on with coloring too, so it doesn't have to be digital, but of course we're making some EdTech connections, and that's one that you might consider. Number 5 on our list is to use AI-generated images alongside an exit ticket. And I paired this one with Padlet. Now, I love sharing tools that give kids lots of ways to share their learning. If you've attended a workshop or even webinars, I do this a lot. I share strategies for exit tickets, and I often show Padlet because it has so many options. And so one of them options for adding to a Padlet board is a feature called I Can't Draw. Now, I don't love the name of this feature. If you know someone at Padlet, feel free to let them know that it's not my favorite. Maybe it's not your favorite either. But I do love how Padlet gives them access, anyone who's using Padlet, access to this AI image tool right within their platform. So you don't have to sign in anywhere else. And it's been a super kind of low bar of entry for folks to try this out. So if you're exploring AI tools with students, this might be something that you want to explore. If you're not quite there yet, you might just skip this strategy. Last on the list of 6 here is to design a book cover for Book Reader. That's the one we're pairing with here. I'm a super fan of Book Reader. When this goes live, I will have just gotten back from TCEA. I'm recording this in between TCEA and FETC for you. And I was with the team at Book Reader at FETC at their booth. Super excited to join them for TCEA. So maybe you're listening to this after you saw me in Texas. So feel free to send a note if you were able to swing by their booth. But you can make interactive books to share with students with all sorts of tools, right? So you might use an AI image creator like the Adobe Firefly, maybe Microsoft Copilot Designer or Magic Media and Canva, all great options to really make that perfect image for the book you want to share with students. Then you can open up Book Reader and add the picture to the book's cover. So lots of ways here to put these ideas into action, and AI image generation might just be for you, right, as an instructional tool, or maybe you're introducing it to students as it's embedded in other student-friendly tools. So there's so many ways you can make the most of this new way to create supplemental content for students. I can't wait to see what you are able to pull together. I'll link out some extra resources, like some of those blog posts I mentioned. And if you're on my blog, just at classtechtips.com, you will see an artificial intelligence button at the top, and it gives you oodles of resources there related to AI if this is a hot topic for you this year. So let's make this EdTech easy with a few key points from the episode. Create interactive activities using AI-generated images in a tool like Nearpod. Enhance your presentations with AI-generated visuals to make them more engaging. Use AI to create custom coloring book pages or other educational materials. Experiment with various AI image generators to find the best tool for your needs. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from today's episode by heading to classtechtips.com/podcast and finding number 306. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.